further ado, Stuart McAleer with Macumbi McAleer Racing. Stuart McAleer Racing. Guys, I am so excited that he's on. He is, in my opinion, one of the best drivers on the grid as of right now. He is talented in so many different ways. I have heard stories about him and how he is a mental master of making people do things and getting him the position in front. He's a championship winner. He has led many a driver in his coaching abilities. Most recently, they just won the MX5 Global Cup. Jeremy Fletcher was it? That was awesome. I think that was your boy Stuart. So, guys, he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to anything and everything about racecraft. So we're super happy to have you here, Stuart. And I'll let you take the floor, man.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. And just a heads up as well, Jack. We've actually won 2 years in a row now, so that's 2 years in a row.
Two
Just
years
telling
in a
you.
row, baby.
Yeah. So, guys, I wanted to do a little a briefing on racecraft and what racecraft consists of. I think this is something that kind of goes. There's a lot of people that don't get opportunity to do this. It's one of the things, unfortunately, that there's no real way to practice it. I mean, sim stuff's obviously fantastic, but you can go out and lap, you can stand and talk to people, you can always be looking at data and video, but the racecraft factor is one of the things that unfortunately only comes as you get to do it, because there's so many things that play into it. So I have a slide that I'm going to throw up for you guys, and I'm just going to one second. This isn't actually giving me.
Is it gonna let you do it?
It's not going to let me share it, I don't think, right now, Jack. Have you got it? The one that I sent you?
I do.
Are you able to pull it up and you can just flick through it for me? Is that possible?
Um,
Oh, wait. Hold on.
there it goes. Oh, that's a beautiful car. There we go. Oh, Stuart, you muted yourself. Here, I think I might be able to unmute.
All right, you got me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Let's try that again. Yeah, so this is something that I have made up. It's actually been really good. I've been using it a little bit with some newer drivers as well. So to kind of break down on racecraft, obviously we could sit here for hours and hours if we wanted to and go through a million details, but this is just a kind of rough breakdown and a little thing for you guys to have a look at. So first of all, what is racecraft? So racecraft is the skill set behind successful competitive driving. It's a combination of technical ability, strategy, and awareness of yourself, equipment, and other competitors. So a lot of people see racecraft as just being the kind of in the moment, the pass, the going for the move. There's a lot more to that, and it dives a lot deeper, and it's stuff that you'll see in racing. And if you watch it for long enough, you'll start to notice that there's guys that are 1,000 steps ahead of the other guys. So why does racecraft matter? So being the fastest doesn't always win you races. I know a lot of guys that are the fastest guys in the planets, and they really struggle with the racing part. So being fast is very important, but being a really good racer is, in my eyes, way more important. Maximizes performance, consistency, and safety. So this is something that you can get caught up in a moment racing someone. You can be burning your car to the ground, and all of a sudden you get to the last 5 laps of the race and you don't have a car to race. So it's all about trying to keep that car together, making sure that you're consistent. And again, the safety factor is that you're keeping your car there. You know that you're going to have a car for the last 5 laps. Racecraft matters because it separates good drivers from great drivers. So again, I know a ton of drivers that are super, super fast and they just struggle in general with the racecraft. So overtaking fundamentals, planning and setup. So racing is like a game of chess. You're not just thinking about the move in front of you, but the one that will win in the end. This is something, again, I see a lot of drivers out there that just send it in, big, deep moves, throw the car down the inside. And it's great. You made a pass, you made one position up, but you just lost the group. So you need to play it like a little bit more like a game of chess, where you're anticipating what the rest of the race is going to be like. How can you put yourself in a position that in 10 laps you're not losing anything, 5 laps you're not losing anything, and at the end you're there and you're able to race for the lead. Executing clean and safe passes. So this is again something that I think goes a little bit of a miss, especially with race schools and driver schools. They do a lot of teaching you how to pass, but it's kind of giving passes up. What we're going to try and look at is how to execute a clean and safe pass. Every move must be calculated and collected. Contact can cause penalties and damage, which will never help you with winning. Pretty self-explanatory on that one.
So you're telling me I can't pit maneuver everyone to get around people?
On iRacing, you can definitely do that because that's usually my tactic. But in real life racing, it's going to get expensive real quick, and you're probably
Oh
not going to
yeah.
have many friends in the paddock.
No, definitely not.
So reading competitors. So this is something that I feel I've always had a little bit of a leg up on. I would love to tell you I'm the fastest guy in the world in a race car, but if I'm being totally frank with you, I'm not. I can always put myself in a position where I'm close to everyone else on pace, but reading competitors is where I really feel that my strength is. So one of the things that I'm always doing is I'm spotting their weaknesses. Are they faster than me in the corners? Am I faster in certain spots? Are they faster on the straights? You're looking at the whole track. And when it comes to spec racing, for the most part, you're probably not going to see a huge difference in equipment. So I'm not really looking for, is that guy pulling me off the corners? Is that guy driving away from me down the straights? But if you're racing in multi-class racing where you can be in a Porsche and somebody's in a BMW and somebody's in a Ferrari and somebody's in a Lamborghini, you do need to look at what the weakness of the car is and the strength of the cars as well. So anticipating moves, I'm trying to work out where they're making more mistakes or they're weak, and again that goes for the equipment that they're using. And I'm trying to work out if I have a friend in the group who's more willing to work with me. So let's just say that we're out there and we're driving around, and I start driving like a douchebag on the first couple of laps. High chance that when we get to the last 5 laps, there's probably not going to be many people out there that want to work with me. So I'm doing everything I can to be aggressive and make sure that I'm established in there. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm making friends on the way through that group. So passing, this is one of the ones that you could talk about for hours. Passes can be made in many ways. So you can outbrake your opponent. You come down into the brake zone. Traditionally, let's say we're driving into a brake zone that we traditionally brake at the 3 board. Maybe we can try and brake a fraction later. We'll hold the brake a little bit longer. We just need to make sure we still get the car slowed down. And we just need to try and clear that car as we're getting down to the apex. Making my opponent outbrake themselves. So maybe we come down into the braking zone. I'm trying to make them look at me a little bit more than where they are on the track. And all of a sudden they get by their brake board, they outbrake themselves, they misjudge it, and all of a sudden they're slightly offline, which can then give me a run. So getting your opponent offline. So this is a good one, and I think this is one that's again kind of overlooked. If I can get somebody offline, there's a pretty high chance that they're going to pick up some marbles on the tires, which in turn is probably going to hurt them for the next couple of corners. So I'll do everything I can to try and get a driver slightly offline so that when we get down into the next braking zone, they probably won't be able to slow down at the same rate as me. They might end up slightly offline, which will make it a lot easier for me to clear them. And then draft and pass your opponent. This plays into it for most race cars. Certain cars, it's definitely more available than others. MX5 Cup cars, because they don't have a roof, the draft is ridiculous. To give you an idea, when we ran at Daytona and when we did testing, we were 128 miles an hour when we crossed start-finish line if you were totally by yourself. If you're with another driver, you're about 145 to 150 mile an hour. So there's a 22 mile an hour difference, up to a 22 mile an hour difference in drafting. So drafting with teammates, drafting by cars, that's always very, very useful. Big tracks like Homestead, Daytona, even the likes of Sebring coming from 16 to 17, there's drafting opportunities there as well. So this is something that is key, and I think it's something that is generally missed when people begin racing, and it's being passed. And it sounds ridiculous, like we don't want to be passed. Nobody wants to be passed. But the reality is at some point you're going to be passed. And what I'm trying to do is when I am being passed, I'm going to try my best to not jeopardize my position by doing something dumb. So being passed is just as important as passing. It's very important to put yourself. It is very easy to put yourself in a jeopardizing position with another driver. So rules here are: you stay on the racing line, make the driver go offline whenever possible when being passed. Offline will make your tires dirty and can make the next few corners much more difficult. So this is actually a good one for multi-class racing. This is something, let's just say that you're out there and you're in the lowest class, you're driving around your little Miata, and there's a guy coming up on you in a Corvette. You do not want to move offline and let that Corvette go by. You want to do your best to stay online, make them go offline, make them work a little bit harder for it. You're not trying to ruin their race, but at the same time, you're just trying to make your race a little bit more easy. So giving the driver enough space. So one car width is the rule, which again is a little bit difficult when you have multi-class racing, because Spec Miata is not the same width as a Corvette. So I just try and give them a little bit more space. 1.5 car widths is a good number. If you can give them a little bit more space in corners where it won't slow you down too much, it's just a safety cushion to avoid any contact. Once the driver or drivers are clear, try your best to slot back in and not to lose too much time. So this is something that it's, again, very self-explanatory. If you're going side by side with a car for 2 or 3 corners, there's a good chance that you and the other driver are both losing time. So just do your best to slot back in, try and get your bumper to bumper again and see if you can work with that person. Think, if I race this driver in this situation, is there potential for an incident? So certain corners on certain tracks that it would be crazy to try and be a hero and race someone in. Probably a good example is coming through like 4-5 at Sebring. Is there a move there? Yeah, probably, but do I want to throw it at someone and run the risk of jumping up on top of the curb and having side-to-side contact? No, I'll just wait for the runoff of 5 all the way down to 7 and then go for my next shot. Think, could I hurt my own race by not just giving this one up? So if I'm getting past and it's one guy and we're leading the race and I don't need to go nuts right now, we're clear of the group, just let them go. Tuck in behind them. You can work together. If it's the last lap, have at it. Do whatever you need to do. But the reality is, if you're on laps 4 and 5, if you tuck in behind that other driver, it's not going to hurt your race. I won a bunch of races at the start of this year. I was very fortunate that I had a really good teammate that wanted to work with me. But we swapped positions every single lap. And we just did it. We did the exact same lap every single lap.
Wow. Hey, Stuart, we got a question.
Yes.
Nathan, what does it mean to get your tires dirty?
Yeah. So when you go to a racetrack, and if you ever get to a racetrack and you're standing looking at it, traditionally there's a line. So there's a line where drivers must be on the track. It's usually the shortest distance, but with the biggest rolling speed, and it's like a kind of medium radius. Anything off of that traditional racing line, there's going to be a lot of rubber buildup. So there's going to be the debris off of the tires. There's going to be dirt. There's going to be dust. There's going to be stones. It's almost like there's a rail track going around the track that you need to follow those lines. And if you drive off of those lines, there's the chance that you're going to pick up that stuff on your tires. Because we run on slicks, the slicks are super, super sticky. So anything you drive over, you're going to pick up. And for the slick tire to work, you need maximum contact patch. So that's why they have no grooves. The full tire is what's touching the surface. So anything that ends up on that tire, you run the risk that when you end up with that stuff on the tire, you're not going to be able to get the car to slow down quickly. It won't steer as well. You'll probably end up with some oversteer in certain situations. So if you get your tires dirty, you have to get them cleaned off. You have to do that quickly and safely. And sometimes during a race, the only way to do that is to keep racing, and you can lose a couple of spots on that. So yeah, getting your tires dirty just means picking up stuff that shouldn't be on your tires.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Stuart.
Yep, no problem. So defending your position, this is something that if you watch a bunch of racing, you're probably going to see a lot of different rules and regulations on this. Formula One's one of the ones that drives me nuts because I see them doing 2, 3, 4 moves when they're coming down straights or into braking zones or just in general moving offline. The rule for the most part is 1 move is the legal limit. So what does that mean? It means that I can make the defensive move very long or very fast. So I can fly down into a corner and I want to defend into the next one. I can move over as quickly as I can, or I can move over as slowly as I can. What I cannot do is I cannot react to a driver's move. So if I make a misjudgment and I get a bobble and that driver pops out to start clearing me, I cannot turn across the front of them. They now have that piece of track. I need to stay in my lane. We can go side by side, but I can now not move over on them. So you can't be moving over. You can't be swerving over on drivers. You can make it as long a move as you want or as short a move as you want. But that's a very important one, especially when it comes to the FARA and the SCCA stuff, the kind of entry level club stuff. One move, you can only do one move, and it can be nice and progressive, or it can be nice and fast. All right, risk versus reward decisions. So when to push. So in the big picture, you do a race, and traditionally a sprint race is 25 to 35 minutes. What I'm trying to do for that 25 to 35 minutes is make sure that my car is as good at the start as it's going to be at the end. So I don't need to go out there and I don't need to be overdriving the car, destroying the tires, overheating the car, having contact. I'm just trying my best to almost settle in so that the last couple of laps I can have a car that I can then race with. So can I settle in with this group and save some tires for the end of the race? So this is a good example for MX5 Cup or Spec Miata, where you go out and you're in a group, there's 5 cars and you're P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5. There would be no reason for me to be a hero and try and do big moves in this group unless I think there's a breakaway, which would be me and a driver, or me and 2 drivers. At that point, I might try a little bit harder to get to those drivers and work with them. But for the most part, you'll see it in MX5 Cup as well. There's usually 5 cars, 6 cars that settle in. They go bumper to bumper. And their goal is to set a gap from the drivers from 5th place, from 6th place onwards. They're going to try and have a big gap so that last couple of laps they can race. Do I need to push harder to catch the leader? So this is if you've started further back or you've made a mistake and something's happened, you've got a little bit of a gap. Do you now need to drive faster? Well, I think in certain places that would be helpful, but I think that certain places as well, you might need to try and find someone that's your partner to get hooked up with and work with. But I think that the push harder thing is kind of, you're judging that as you're going, and what you need to be careful of is, can you catch the leaders? Is it even going to be possible to catch the leaders, or should you just keep driving the way you're driving and hope that they make a mistake? Am I comfortably ahead? Can I just cruise at this point? So on a track like Sebring or VIR, these tracks are a little bit more technical, so the draft isn't quite as important. But on a track like Daytona or Homestead, this is not going to be something that you there's no way that you can cruise. There's no such thing as cruising. If you're out there with a partner and you get a car with you, maybe you can be a little bit more relaxed. But the reality is that when the drafting stuff comes into it, the cruising part's pretty challenging. If you're really on it and you're getting a gap in a short, twisty track, you can probably cruise a little bit. But for the most part, I always say drive it 10/10s, and you're less likely to make a mistake as well. Can me and this driver get away and make it a 2-horse race? So again, this was something that I was very fortunate with this year. I raced a couple of races at the start of the year, and I get hooked up with a good friend of mine, Frankie Barroso, and the two of us got hooked up bumper to bumper on lap 1, and we pulled like a 10-15 second gap before we got to the end of the race, and it just gave us the freedom that we could kind of mess around a little bit more in those last 2 laps and really race each other and not worry about finishing 3rd place. So that's just something to think about. If you're out there with a really good driver, can you just work with them and get away? Are you quite happy to sit behind them? Am I threatened by the pace of this driver and maybe want to make it a 6-car race? So this is a little twisted, and this is something that you kind of have to play this into it depending on your situation. So there was been a couple of races where I've got out in front with someone, and I pure and simple, I'm like, this guy's faster than me. I'm probably gonna struggle in the last couple of laps to race this person. So what I actually will do was I will slow them down. I will try and slow them down a little bit. So I'll take the lead and I'll just back up a little bit, and I'll try and bring some more cars into the race so that when we get to then, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. You're rolling the dice a little bit more, but it gives me a little bit more opportunity that I'm not going to stress about this guy. I have to stress about the other guys, but maybe I can shove him into the pack enough that he's going to lose a position, and then I can race with someone else. Is it a championship weekend, or am I just going for the win? So if you're going for points, you need to be a little bit more safe and a little bit more on the ball. But if you're just going for a win and you want to take some money home, depending on what the race is, have at it. Go drive it a little bit harder. Don't stress too much about breaking the stuff. I mean, you're obviously trying to make the whole weekend work, but for the most part, if it's a championship weekend, you're going to be a little bit more delicate on your equipment.
Yeah. So if for CRS, we're going to be running inside the GT3, GT4, anything goes class with Farah.
Right.
What do you think some risk reward decisions? What do you think these teams should be thinking about while they're, driving on track with prototypes with GT3s, GT4s? Is there something that they should be really paying attention to?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it'll be important for you guys to have what we would call a spotter. So if you've played iRacing, you can turn on a digital one, which talks to you. A spotter is someone that stands at the highest position on the track, and they're just watching your car in particular, and they give you some feedback. They might tell you there's a GT3 car coming. He's 6 car lengths back, 5 car lengths back. I do think that would be important for you guys. I think it would be valuable for you guys because the approach speed from the big high horsepower cars to an MX-5 on a track like Homestead or even a track like Sebring, it's pretty drastic. And you can check your mirrors, and then the next second there can be a car next to you that you didn't see. So I think that would be good. I think getting into these races, more than likely, what you're going to have to do is there's a wide array of drivers in this as well. So you're going to see some really, really talented guys that have a lot of experience, and then you're going to see some fresh faces that have little to no experience, but they might have faster cars than you. They might have slower cars than you. So you're going to have to, it's going to be one of those things on the weekend that when you come up on a car or a car comes up on you, should you let that car go? Or did they only catch you because they caught you on the straight? Are you better than them in the corners? And again, a spotter, a good spotter should be able to say to you, hey, you have a GT4 coming behind you. They're 10 seconds off the pace. They're not very good in the twisty stuff. Make sure you stay in front of them when you get to the twisty stuff.
Yeah, good. And if they don't have a spotter, they just need to be extra careful.
Yeah. You just need to be so vigilant. And I just did a 14-hour race on Saturday, and it ran into the night, and it gets super, super tricky because like I said to you, the approach speeds are so drastic. You get cars that are doing 30, 40 mile an hour faster than you. I would say that in a long race with multi-class racing, I'm checking my mirrors probably 10 times more than I would be in a spec race where I'm racing against the same cars. You just need to be super on top of it. And again, you check it when you come off the corner onto the straight, you check it a quarter of the way down the straight, you check it halfway down the straight, and you check it again as you get to the braking zone to make sure that nobody's running up into your bumper.
Yeah, great advice, man. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So mental toughness and focus, staying calm under pressure. So making a mistake doesn't end your race. This is something that people get flustered. Super fast guys, they make a mistake, they drop a tire, and all of a sudden they go from being the fastest guy in the track to being the 6th fastest guy in the track, but also running into stuff and running into other cars. Don't stress if you make a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Being swallowed by the group does not end your race. If you're an MX-5 Cup driver at Daytona and you're leading at any point, there's a very high chance that you're probably going to be 10th on the next lap. So you just need to be super relaxed, super composed, and make sure that you're in that group when you get to the end of the race. So be in a good position coming to the final laps. Again, certain tracks you need to be in different positions. I would say that if you come out of the bus stop at Daytona in an MX-5 Cup car and you were leading that race on the last lap, that would be extremely dumb. I think only one person in the world has ever won that, and it's Nate Cicero, who ran on my team. But the chances of you being passed in the draft are probably 1,000%. You're more than likely going to get passed by multiple cars. So being in a good position coming to the final laps is something, again, it will all be based off of judgment. Certain tracks throw different things at you. But as long as you're in the mix and as long as you can see the leaders, you're more than likely going to get a good shot at it. So managing fatigue and emotions. Fitness is key in motorsports. If your hands and neck are getting tired, then you're thinking about this. And usually that means a lapse in concentration the next few laps or corners. So I see a lot of people that go and do track days and you get 6 sessions in a day at 30 minutes. 3 hours of driving is a lot of driving. It's arguably too much driving, especially for people that are not experienced. So if at any point you guys start to get tired, you start to feel that you're falling off a little bit, the best thing you can do is come in and take a breather. You might lose a session from it. Come in, drink some water, hydrate, make sure that you're feeling good about it when you go back out. But don't ever drive the car when you're starting to feel tired. It's when all the mistakes happen. Um, you have to control your emotions to keep the car in one piece and as competitive as possible. Sometimes the guy who hit you is the only guy that you can work with to try and get back to the group. So this is one of the ones that it's a frustrating part of the sport, but it's the reality of it. You can be in a group of 10 cars and you can have contact with another car, which for the most part will not be accepted in racing series at all. But let's say that you have contact and you and one car go off and you guys were the leaders, you come back on the track and you're thinking, wow, I hate this guy. I don't want to be near this guy. And there's no other cars. So you have to be able to take a deep breath, think about the big picture, get hooked back up with that car. I'm sure that person is probably not going to be the happiest at you because the two of you guys have both gone off track. But I'm always happy. Even if I go off with someone, I'll come back on and try and get hooked back up with them, try and get back to the group and try and work on it. And again, control your emotions, take a deep breath out there. Don't get worked up. You can shout and scream on the radio to your spotter or your friends, but your friends on the radio should be telling you, all right, we get 10 more laps to go. Take a deep breath. You're good to go. Getting hot-headed in a race car can be the downfall of even the best racers. Keep your head screwed on, and even when the race is complete, go back and watch your video and let the race stewards deal with it. So, something again that you see, you don't really see it at high level stuff. You see it more at club level entry stuff. People get out of the car and they storm right up to the guy that they just had the contact with. One of the worst things you can do is take your helmet off and rush over to someone because you're going to be upset, you're going to be flustered, you're going to be frustrated. I usually take my helmet off, go back to the trailer, take a deep breath, have a look at my video, make sure that I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't make a mistake myself. Most of the time, the stewards will want to talk to you if there's been contact that they think that it was caused by someone. They might ask you for a copy of your video, and then at that point, you can have a conversation with the other driver, but don't ever let stuff get heated. There's no benefit, there's no gain in getting flustered, and you don't want to be the guy around the paddock that's got a hot head that comes over and argues with everybody because nobody will want to be around you on the track either.
Yeah, guys, that is such a big important facet to learn to be known as the respectful driver. I mean, it's very easy to go out in racing and end up having a bad reputation on your name, and you'll find very quickly that people don't want to help you when you develop that. So data over drama, guys. Take a minute to cool down, have a glass of water, look at the video yourself, have someone else look at the video. I can't tell you how many times I've had something happen and I look at my video and I'm like, it's this guy's fault. And then someone walks up to me and is like, no, you're tripping. That was totally your fault. You did not need to be there. You put it in your position. And it's always good just to take a minute. So that's so important, guys.
Yep. All right. So learning from data and video. So telemetry analysis. After every session, sit down and go through your data and video. Most times drivers feel one thing, but when you reference back, it can be something completely different causing the issues. This is also very valuable for setting a car up, as you can see where time loss is and what is causing it, whether it be car or driver or both. So this is something that, again, you'll see it more so at the higher level. I've been very fortunate. I learned all my data stuff from my brother Stephen, who's runs at the highest level. He's running 24 hours, a 12 hours Sebring. Raced GTD for a couple of years. He's raced in GT4. He's won championships. Something I always feel that data is more valuable for is for you guys being newcomers and new drivers. It's really good to sit down and look at your stuff and see if what you're feeling in your brain is actually tying to what we're seeing on the data and the video. It's so easy to have one moment where you turn into a corner and the car slides and you're like, okay, the car's oversteering. Well, did it oversteer because you did something, or did it oversteer because of the car? Or did the surface change? Was there dirt on the track? There's so many things that play into it. That's one of the things that we've been very fortunate with in the MX5 Cups stuff. I do data for MX5 Cup. I actually do a lot of the engineering on the side of things as well, and I have one of the best engineers that works with me as well, Kevin Stelly. And between the two of us, I can sit down and tell him what I'm seeing and see if it actually ties in with what the driver's seeing. And for a lot of these new drivers, it usually isn't. And it's good because I'm able to explain to them then what I'm seeing, what I expect from the car, what we can change, what we can't change. And then Kevin's able to come up with a full solution that fixes all of the stuff that we're seeing on that. So the telemetry is massively important, and it'll be very, very important for you guys to learn that stuff and understand it as well. Continuous improvement. So if you're getting faster and feel like you're seeing progress on car setup, you're going in the correct direction. Smaller, low-key weekends are great for trying different setup changes. Big race weekends, you try not to get too crazy and do only small changes to accommodate variables. So we traditionally show up to the race weekends with a setup that we believe is 95% of the way there for race weekends. During test weekends, we do massive swings on setup. We can change compression and rebound. We can do ride heights. We do, but instead of doing small increments, we do big increments to see if it does exactly what we would expect. And when we do this stuff, it's just data. It's more data for us that when we show up to a track and we feel something, we can say, we felt this at the test. We can do this, this, and this to change it.
100%. I can vouch for that. Baby steps is the key. I mean, this is what we teach in the motorsports engineering course at Clemson. Is on test days, everything's fair game, make the biggest change you want, but when you get to the track for race weekend, your goal should be baby steps. Don't try it out and go reinvent the wheel. Take exactly what he said, get a 95% setup and make tiny changes from there on out.
Yeah, and what you'll tend to find as well, guys, is that traditionally when you have a baseline, obviously there's changes based on tracks being clockwise, anti-clockwise, some elevation changes, surface changes. There will be small things, but for the most part, you're probably going to find that you're 90 to 95% there with just a baseline. And then it's the small tweaks that you have to do. I like doing big changes on test days, purely just for the fact that I want to see how big of a swing actually can we make and how drastic would it be for the drivers at that point. But for the most part, on a race weekend, I mean, if I showed you the stuff that we're actually changing on race weekends, and you guys could do it yourself. It's so easy and so small. So key takeaways, racecraft blends skill, strategy, and mindset, and it applies on and off the track. So any questions? I'm sure we've got a couple.
Wow. Yeah, Stuart, that was awesome, man.
Good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that.
I mean, I have so many questions myself, but I'll open it up to anyone else first. Any questions for Stuart? Well, you can pop them in the chat. You can unmute. You can do whatever you need to do. Give him a second. Well, in the meantime, I have a question.
Go for it. What you got?
When you took your first, I guess, leap into multi-class racing, what was your mentality going into that?
I mean, so for me, it's just that it was a whole new learning curve. I was so used to the spec stuff where you're not expecting someone to be doing more than 3 or 4 miles an hour faster than you, and it's very easy to judge when cars are coming. So you come out of a corner and you get a train of 5 cars coming behind you, and you know those 5 cars, you know what speed they're going to get to you, you know roughly when they're going to get to you. It's all about kind of calculating that. When I went to the multi-class stuff, I can remember thinking to myself, all right, cool. Same thing. I'm just going to check my mirror. And every so often you would check your mirror and you'd be like, oh, good, I'm clear. You get down to the next brake zone and there would be a car that would appear out of nowhere. So it just became a habit to just check your mirrors, check your mirrors, check your mirrors. And fortunately, we have spotters for this stuff as well. So we do have a guy that for the most part is telling you, hey, car coming, hey, car's good doing this. You're going to clear another car, but there's 3 more, blah, blah, blah. And that definitely softens the blow a little bit. But there has been times where the radio communications go, and prime example was at the weekend there. I was in a 14-hour race and we got to hour 12 and it was 10 p.m. at night, pitch black. Can't see a thing in front of you, can't see a thing behind you. And you see headlights coming. And after you do 20, 30 minutes, you start to notice what the headlights are. So you can tell when the big beams come, it's going to be the Corvette. It's going to be the BMW M3. But there was a 15-minute window where I had no idea what cars were coming behind me, and I just had to try and hustle the car as much as I could. And when they got to me, try and stay my best to stay online and make sure they clear me in a safe spot as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's Jesus, man. That's awesome.
It's
But
fun. It's a lot of fun.
oh, I'm so happy that these students are going to get to experience multi-class
Oh
racing.
yeah,
I
yeah. These guys are gonna have a riot.
Yeah, it's and Farah does such a great job with running that, so they're going to be just fine. Question from Jack Charlton. Thanks for the presentation. What did your journey into GT4 look like?
You got all night. Uh, so I moved over here in 2014 to start a go kart program with my brother. We both grew up in Scotland. He came over here a long time ago, and the goal was to start a go kart team and to start racing myself. I didn't know what that was going to consist of. I got a phone call from one of my clients that I worked with, and he says, "Hey, my grandfather's not racing this weekend in his Spec Miata. Do you want to go run it?" I'd never driven a race car on a track before, and I was 21 years old, 22 years old, never driven a race car on a track. I'd driven street cars, never a race car. So I called a friend who was a licensed guy. I'm not going to tell you his name because he'll probably get fired for this. Called him on Thursday. He got me my license by Friday. I showed up at the track on Saturday. Straight in. There was no qualifying because we'd missed qualifying on Friday. It was me, my brother, and my friend. We ran Spec Miatas, and we started dead last. I made 17 spots up. I felt like I was God's gift to racing. I was 20th. My brother was second or third. My buddy was like 10th. And I ran that for a couple of years. I got picked for the MX5 scholarship in 2019. And I've been coaching nonstop to meet people and try and meet the right person. And I was very fortunate to get a phone call from a team that wanted to try and do it, and then I got a phone call from someone that I'm really close with who wanted to try and help me out with the dollars to come and do it. And yeah, it was all very very last minute, but it was planned. It's been planned for 10 years. It's been something I've been anticipating for the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah, so what you say is just consistently get work,
Keep,
consistent do it, get
keep
to the
digging.
track and meet people.
Yeah, keep digging, and it's something as well that it's a hard sport. I've seen a lot of people, and it sucks. There's a lot of people that have been really good, really talented, and they take 4 or 5 years and they don't get to where they expected to be, and they just kind of give up. I personally will never do that. This is my life now. This is what I do for as a career. I have the go kart team out in New York. We have the MX5 and the Mustang. I'll do this full time. The racing part of things is difficult, and I'd love to tell you guys just keep doing it and you'll get a shot at it. But the reality is that you need to work super hard, and if there's 1,000 of you, one of you might get picked. So just make sure that you're the best of the best out there, and that's all you can do.
100%. Yeah, so we got a question from Sri. What information do you think is most valuable from telemetry?
I think for what you guys are going to be doing, it's probably going to be brake, throttle, steering input. We do when we do the bigger stuff, we do look at like lateral load. I dive a little bit deeper and I'm looking at oil pressure, fuel pressure to make sure that there's no hiccups in that stuff. But for the actual coaching side of things, throttle brake, lateral load, just looking at a delta off of a fast lap is probably the most valuable stuff. And you'll see a lot of things that you'll feel from the car that when you look at the data and you start to notice it on the data, you'll actually be like, oh, it's not the car, it's me.
I've
And it happens to the best of us. And I genuinely mean that. I mean, like I have been very fortunate to have learned from my brother, but between the two of us, we can jump in the car and we drive differently. So one feels one thing, one feels the other thing. And when we look at the data, there's a good chance that both of us are going to have something right and something wrong.
Yeah, guys, that's I one of the first things Center ever told me when he took me to the track for the first time with him was he was like, you know stuff, but be humble. He was like, be okay with someone walking up and telling you that you absolutely suck because that's okay. No one cares that you suck.
Yeah,
What matters is that you're safe and that you're having a good time and that
for sure.
you learn from doing this. That's the whole
Yeah,
point of
for
doing
sure.
the sport, man. It's getting better.
And
So
it doesn't matter if you are at club level or you're a pro racer, you are gonna see something different every single time.
100%. So we got a question from Nathan's. Would you say that you are learning during the race, or would you have a fixed mindset going into it?
No, totally, 100% learning. It's you you can know every single driver in the paddock, and you can know every single driver that you're coming up against. But the reality is that like during the races, you're trying to pick up every single piece of information that you can, so that you have as much as you can at the end of the race. But you're every single lap and every single time you turn into a corner, and everything's changing. I mean, tires go off, track gets hot, cars getting hot, the drivers around you are getting hot. So there's so many variables that are playing into it. You're doing everything you can every single lap to take in as much information as you can, so that the next lap is either better or the same, or better or the same, and you just need to keep picking away at it throughout the race. But yeah, learning every single lap.
Awesome. All right, guys, any more questions? I think it's been amazing to have you on, Stuart.
I'm so glad I could do it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
I've
having me.
learned a lot. I know that the people watching live have learned a lot. And just a reminder for everyone here, all these videos are recorded and posted to our curriculum page, go.fsbb.io. So you guys can always come back and watch this video when you guys are getting around to planning your season next year. So we'll be working with Stuart a lot in the future. So you'll be seeing a lot of him, and I'm looking forward to it. So.
Joe,
Uh,
thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it. This is fun, and hopefully you guys learned something. And if I'm sure at some point I'm going to bump into y'all, but I'm sure you're going to have more questions once the season starts rolling out. So I'll be at these events. So please don't hesitate to come over and ask any questions.
Yeah, guys, and if you guys have questions, Stuart's generally offered. I can email him your questions. So if you have any questions, you can always email us at crs@garageid.com for any other questions. Um, and if that's it, guys, we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. always, and full speed ahead.
Thanks,
Hope that
guys.
you have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.